Hello tent people, welcome to Warrior Camping, and I've got a great one for you today. In that bag you can see is an old friend of mine. It's an absolutely fantastic tent and I absolutely love it. It's built like a tank, this thing. It's absolutely bomb proof. It's the best tent I've ever had for by a mile for strength and that. This thing is strong as you like. Now I've had this tent a long time. It wasn't brand new when I got it. It was already quite a few years old. Because I'm not sure how old this model is, but I think this tent came out in 1983. And I think this one I've got is quite an early one. I'm not 100% on that, but as you can see, this one, it's the Super Quasar. So it's a Super Quasar model in red, but it's not really red anymore, it's faded. It's more like a dull reddy brown, because it has been used a lot, this tent. I've used it a lot, and it was quite used when I first got it. And I've always looked after this tent because it was like my pride and joy when I first got this tent. I'd never had nothing like this. So this tent was like a big deal when I first got it. So I've always looked after it, and although it's a bit dull and a bit faded, it is in nice condition. There is absolutely nothing wrong with this tent whatsoever. So I know it's an old one, this thing is still good. You go camping anywhere in this and you will be alright. And it deals with the wind well. You get this thing out when it's windy, you don't even know it's windy. It just takes it so well, and because of the shape of it, I think the wind just blows over it. All you need to do is lower the flaps above the doors. It's got like little peaks on it. You lower them down, you don't even know it's windy when you're in this thing. It just handles it so well. I've never known any other tent that can deal with wind like this thing. It's unbelievable how well this thing deals with it. The shape of it, the wind just blows over it. Even if you get wind on the side of this one, it's so strong you don't even really know it's blowing. Alright, you can see the fabric moving and that, but the poles and that don't start bending in. This thing is so strong and such a good shape that the wind does just blow over it. No matter what angle the wind's coming from, it just blows over this thing. And it just deals with it so good. I've never been in this tent when I thought, oh, this tent is going in a minute. Never. And I have had it out in some big winds. To get this tent flapping about, you would need to be out in some kind of serious storm, I'm telling you. You'd need to be out in a really strong gale to get this tent flapping about, 'cause it just don't move. I've been out with mates and that, and they're in their tent, and I've been in this. And when you look at their tent, oh, it looks like it's going to blow away at any minute. All the sides are getting pushed in and all that. And then you look at the Quasar, and it's like it's sitting there on a summer's day because it's not even really moving. So it is strong, this tent. It's going to be in it. This tent is designed to go up a mountain and keep you alive and deal with all them, like, strong winds up there on the top of the mountains and all that. This can cope with them because that is what it's built for, isn't it? It's built to handle all them high altitude winds, which are going to be stronger than anything you get when you're just pitching it in a field in England. So when you've just got this in a normal, like, piece of land in England, whatever storm comes along, this Quasar will just laugh at it because it won't get blown about. It just deals with it so well. I've got a few other tents that are like proper storm bad weather tents, but they're not like this thing. They're really not. They're not half as strong as this. They move about, flapping the wind, but this thing doesn't. It really doesn't. This really is a good tent. It's a bit overkill for England, this tent. If you want a tent that you're going to go out in storms and that, and you want all that, like, getting the tent blown around, all that excitement and all that drama that goes with camping in a storm. This tent sort of takes that away a little bit because it's too good. Whereas I like, if I'm going out in a storm, I like to take my Hurricane because it's not half as good as this, but that makes it really exciting. You be in that Hurricane, you are living life on the edge. But if you was in the same storm in this, you'd just be sitting there like nothing was really going on outside. So it's kind of a bit overkill, this. But I still love this tent because it's a lovely tent to use. And wherever you take this tent, everyone knows what it is. Everyone will come and look at it. Everyone will go, oh, that's a nice Quasar, mate. That's an old one, isn't it? You go, yeah, I've had it years. Everyone loves it. If you're a bit into tents, you know what this Quasar is. I haven't had any other tent that gets the attention like this thing. When you're out camping somewhere, people are like, oh, look at your Quasar, that's absolutely lovely. I'm like, yeah, mate, it is good. Everyone knows what it is. Everyone wants to look at it. Everybody's read about it. Everybody's seen them documentaries with it being used on the telly. So this tent is famous. And I love that about it, because you take it out anywhere, people are just like, have a different tent, go somewhere, couple of years on the trot, no one remember. Take your tent, the next year go back, might be the same people there and all that, especially if you're going like the military weekends or something like that, same faces. If I take this tent, people instantly know it's me, because you go in the bar or something of an evening and people will go, oh, I knew you was here, mate, because I spotted the Quasar. Now, I've never had any other tent like that, and I've got some bright coloured tents that stand out and all that, but people don't take much notice of it. But people clock this Quasar because it is so famous and so much of a legend tent that people just love it. And anyone that owns one loves it as well. You have to love one of these if you own it, because it's just fantastic and so strong. You got no worries taking this out. It's just so strong. So I'm not going to rush putting this up. I'm going to take my time. This is like family, this tent, and it's old. So you got to be kind and gentle with it. So I'm not going to rush forcing all the poles through and all that. Just going to take my time and put it up nicely. Be gentle with the old girl. Like I said, I'm not sure what year this one is from, but it is an early one, and this tent came out in 1983, so I don't know how old this one is. I don't think it's an 80s one, but it could be from the 90s, I reckon. It's not like a later model, it is an old one. So it needs looking after, this tent, and I always do look after it. I'm nice and gentle with it. It gets packed away nice, always gets kept indoors, this one. Some of my other tents get put in the shed. This Quasar will never go in the shed. This lives indoors, in the dry, where I can look after it. Because I've had it so long, and like I said, when I first got this tent, I paid quite a bit of money for it, a lot more than I'd ever spent on a tent before. Before I had this, most of the tents I had was either really old that people had given to me, or they were stuff that I'd bought in sales and that, but it wasn't top quality. I wouldn't have been able to have gone and bought one of these brand new. It would have been too much money for me. So I found this. Like, I think at the time eBay and that did exist, but I didn't use it back then. And I found this in a camping shop. I went in a camping shop one day. It's not there now. It's a good little camping shop. They used to sell like second-hand tents. I think they used to get them off of people and then sell them in the shop. So I've gone in there and seen they had this and was talking to the bloke and that about it. Then, like a couple of weeks later or whatever, I've gone in there again and they still had it there, and I was thinking, oh, I might buy that Quasar. And then I went in there a few days later and they had it set up in the shop. And as soon as I see it set up and sat inside it and that, I was like to the bloke, right, I put a deposit on that, mate, and I'll come back and collect it next week. Bloke was like, yeah, all right, mate. So I bought the Quasar. So it was a big deal for me getting this tent because it was a ton of money for me. And yeah, I've had it ever since and always looked after it. And I still, to this day, I've never bought a tent that cost me more money than this Quasar. Most of the tents I get hold of, I find boot fairs or other things. I do buy stuff on eBay, but only if I get a bit of a bargain. I'm not one who goes buying like the high-end expensive tents for a ton of money. I really don't. I bought a few brand new ones off Amazon because sometimes they have like really cheap sale and you look at the price of them and you think, I'm having one of them. So I do that, but I've never spent a bundle of money on a tent like I did on this Quasar. So as you can see, I'm threading the poles through nicely. The red poles obviously go through the red sleeves and the blue poles go through the blue sleeves. So it's got 4 poles, this tent. And they all sort of cross over. I think this tent, the poles cross 7 times. That is why it's so strong. Most tents they only cross 5 times. But on this Quasar, they cross 7 times. So when you get all the poles in, the first time you put this Quasar up, it is confusing. I always remember, me and my mate, when I first bought this Quasar, me and my mate went to put it up, and we had no like instructions for it or anything, and we was there for ages because you can sort of put it together wrong, and the different poles, like the poles go into different slots. There is no markings on the hoops round the feet. You think they'd be marked red and blue, and I think they are on the later models, but on this one, the hoops at the end of the poles go in are just black. There is no markings on them to say where they go. So I can remember me and my mate trying it about 5 different ways, because every time we went to do it, it just wasn't right, and we had to like, right, stop, let's think about this, how does it go? And then once we sussed it, it's quite easy really, but that first time, unless you've got the instructions, yeah, you might not struggle, you might be like a good old tent builder, and then you'll be away. But like for me and my mate, it did take a while for us to get it up, because it was just confusing. And the bit that is confusing, it's these 2 middle blue poles. Because the one that is at the front of the blue poles, you'd think would go in the front hoops. But it doesn't, they go in the back hoops. You can put them in the front hoops, you will manhandle them in there, but then the rest of the tent won't go up. So you can see like what I'm doing there, that blue pole I've just put into that hoop bit, that is the front pole, if you know what I mean, and the pole that is at the back is going into this front hoop. That is the bit that me and my mate, I always remember it, we just couldn't suss it out. We kept doing it wrong and we couldn't get it up. We was laughing, and then in the end we just sussed it out. So the same round this side. The pole that is in the front goes in the feet hoops to the back, so they kind of cross. And yeah, it's obvious when you see it up, but like me and my mate, we had no instructions, no knowing. We was like, right, let's get the Quasar up. And we was there for ages because we just could not suss out how to put it together. Because at the time you didn't realise it all crossed, like I didn't take that much notice of it. Where I'd only seen it with like the cover over the top in the shop, I hadn't seen all the crosses on the poles and all that. So I didn't realise that the poles crossed at the sides as well. Once you know that, it's quite straightforward. But when you don't know that, it's very confusing. And I'd never had a tent before where the poles crossed like this one round the sides. So yeah, it was confusing. So you can see that's up there now. just on them blue poles, and it sits there like a little table, ready to go up a bit further. So you can see the front pole goes in the back hoops, and the back pole goes in the front hoops. So it's straightforward when you know that, but if you don't know that, it'll do your head in, because you just cannot get it to go up. So it's quite straightforward from here. You just put the red poles, they cross on the top. The red poles just go in the very corner sleeves. So it's sort of, I have found it's easier to do the blue poles first. So it sits there like that, and then do the red ones. If you try and do the red ones first, you can do it, but it's a bit more awkward. I've always found after, because I've put this tent up a lot of times, so I've done it every way possible. And then I just found out I do it this way, because I think this way is easier. It puts less stress on the tent. And then you just put the red poles into the corners, and then go to the other side and do the same. Red poles into the corners, and then it just starts taking shape, and it's quite easy to get up from here. It goes up nice, this thing. So where I've done it so many times, I find it easy to put up this tent. But if you bought one the first time you put it up, it would be a bit of a struggle, because it is quite tight, this tent, in the sleeves. You have got to manhandle it a bit, and like, if you're not 100% that you got it right, you might think, oh, I'm going to rip this. It's sort of like, but where I've done it a few times, or a lot of times, I know that it's just, you need to just force it in. It is the way it goes, so it goes. But it is tight, this. It takes quite a lot of pressure to get the poles in. It is very, very like tight putting it up. Whereas a lot of tents just go easy, just push the pole and in they go. But this thing, there's a lot of pressure I'm putting on that pole to get it into these bottom hoops. That's not easy. That's like taking a lot of force to do that. But that's good, because that means once it's up, your poles aren't coming out. You can just pick this thing up, move it wherever you want it now. That will not come apart. That is just up, and that is really strong, that little bit. The way all these poles go in there so tight and cross over each other, that little bit there is very, very strong. So I do think with this old Quasar, although I paid a ton of money for it, I have had my money's worth out of it, because I have used this thing a lot, and it has got a ton of life left in it, this one. I will keep using it. So although it was a lot of money for me, I have had my money's worth out of it. But I'm not sure if I would go and spend a ton of money on a tent again. Mainly because I've got loads of them. So if I buy something for a ton of money, I'm not going to be like living in it 24/7, because I like to keep them all going. If you got these tents, you got to use them always. There's no point having them. It's no good for a tent just to sit in its bag. It's got to come out and be used. That's when they stay nice. So, and you got the other thing in it with eBay and that. If there's a certain tent you're after, I've learned over the years, one will always come up. You never need to go and do a ton of money, because one will always come up. And I've also got tents just like off people down the pub and that. You start talking to someone about camping and they go, oh yeah, I used to go camping, blah, 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 blah. Say, oh yeah, they say, yeah, I ain't been for years. Say to them, still got your tent? Yeah, what is it? They go, oh, I had a so and so and so and so. I ain't used it for ages. Say, do you want to sell it? I've got some good tents that way off for people, because there is people with money out there. So when them and their missus first started going camping, they thought, yeah, let's buy the greatest tent we can get our hands on. So they went and done a load of money on a tent. Only used it 2 or 3 times, and then never used it again. So them tents are out there. You talk to people have got tents at home that they want to get rid of. So I've had some bargains like that. Plus on like eBay and that, you find the tents. I've had some bargains out of eBay, and you'd also be amazed at what I'd find at boot fairs and like in charity shops and that. I've found some good tents over the years. So I think my days of doing a ton of money on a tent are over. Although there is some I wouldn't mind at the minute, the expensive tents that I look at on eBay and think, oh, I'd like to try one of them out. So I'm not never saying never. One day I might treat myself to a really nice ultralight. But I won't pay top dollar for it. If one comes up cheap, I shall get me hands on it. 'Cause I have already got some light tents. Alright, they're not ultralight, but I've got tents that are under 1.5 kilo. And that's light enough. You put that in your backpack, 1.5 kilo, that's nothing. Compared to what I lugged about years ago, to me that is an ultralight tent. I know it's not. I look at the weight of some of the modern ones and you think, God, that is ridiculous. That weighs nothing. But like 1.5 kilos to me is not heavy, really. You're not going to struggle carrying about 1.5 kilos. I've got like a Van Gogh Force 10, an old one, the big Mark 5, the four-man one, lovely tent. I used to lug that thing about everywhere. Weighs about 10 kilos. Me and my mate used to do half of it each. So we had 5 kilos worth of tent each. We carried that thing miles. So to me, a little 1.5 kilo tent is really light. But I would like one of the ones that comes in under the kilo. One of the like 800 gram or something. It must be just so light to carry about. So I do have a little look at them ultralights on eBay. And I do have a little cheeky bid now and again, but I've never actually got my hands on nothing that light. But watch this space, 'cause I do bid on some of them ultralights, and one day, when all you lot who have got 'em in their watch list, when all you lot are busy and you forget to put your bid in, my little cheeky bid will be the highest bidder, and then I will get my hands on the ultralight without doing a ton of money. So as you can see, just getting the old fly sheet over. Goes on quite easy this. I'm not going to peg it down really tight how it is. When my garden's too wonky, this tent, it like needs flat ground, this tent. So where I'm sort of like, my garden's on a slope, I'm sort of don't want to bend this tent into the shape of my garden. It's too strong for that. So I'm only going to peg the fly sheet down loosely just to like show how it goes, because it's like sitting wonky at the minute. And of all the tents I've got, this one is so strong it does not want to go on uneven ground. This one wants flat ground. So I'm not going to bend it into the shape of my garden. I'm only putting it up to show you. It's not like I'm going to move in it and live in it for 3 months in my back garden. I'll be packing it down in an hour or two. Might sit and have a coffee and have a little chill out in it. 'Cause I love sitting in this tent. It's got so many memories for me, this tent. I've had it on so many adventures. I will do that this afternoon. I should just sit in it and have a coffee. I might even cook myself something to eat out the front of it and just chill out in it for the afternoon. 'Cause I love this old tent and I haven't had it up since last year. So I might just chill out in it for a few hours. But I will not be sleeping in it tonight. I do not camp in my garden. I'm just pegging it out loosely, 'cause I don't want to stretch all the fly sheet and that to get it all down nicely, 'cause it does come down nice to the floor, this fly sheet. But when my garden is so uneven and slopes away, to make it do that, you're going to have to stretch it. So I'm not doing that with this tent. I will just peg the fly sheet on loosely, just to show you how it goes. And it's a nice looking tent, this one. When it's up, I like this tent. It has got a good look to it. It sort of looks really small on the outside, this tent. When you get in it, it ain't really small on the inside. It's quite big inside this tent, really. but it looks really small on the outside. It's a nice tent to be in, this one, I give it that. If you buy yourself one of these, go camping with it, you will like it. It is a really nice tent. There's something about this tent inside. It's a really nice place to spend time and sleep and that in here. It really is like cosy and comfortable. Whereas a lot of tents aren't like that. But this one, of all the tents I've got, this one is one of the cosiest, lovely, comfy tents to sleep in for some reason. I don't know why, it's just really nice. And other people, like friends and that, they've stayed in it for the night, or people who have like borrowed it, 'cause I've lent this out a few times to different mates and that. So people have either stayed in it or borrowed it, and all of them would say, I love that Quasar, it's an absolutely lovely tent to stay in. And one of my friends, he borrowed it, and then he got back and he was like, I'm going to buy myself one of them Quasars. I absolutely love my week away in that. It's just fantastic, that tent. But then when he started bidding on them and seeing the price of them and all that, he bought something, I think he bought an Alp kit, which looks a bit similar, but after he'd had it a little while, and then we went camping and my Quasar was beside it and that, he's like, I wish I'd spent more money and got a Quasar. Because there's just something about this Quasar that makes it special. You can't put your finger on it. Might be all that history and that goes with it that them other tents haven't got. But there's something about this Quasar that when you're in it, it just makes it absolutely a lovely place to stay. So I'm just going round it, put a few more pegs in, hold the fly sheet down, and like I said, I'm not going mad, pegging it right out tight, because I don't want to stretch it all on the wonky ground. So I'm just pegging it out, show you what it's like. And I would say this tent is up on the list of like tents you must own. If you're a bit of a like tent fanatic, because it does happen, you end up like me. If you get right into camping and that, I've been doing it absolute years since I was a kid. Camping, I loved it when I was a kid, up the woods and all that. Used to make our own tents out of this, that, and the other and all that, and we'd get tents and go miles with them for the weekend and all this. So yeah, we always had the camping. When I was a kid, we had like little motorbikes, and we'd throw a tent on the back with the little motorbike and go miles down the old along the river and all that, and go camping with a little motorbike and that. Yeah, great fun. So if you were like that and you get the old camping bug, you will end up with a few tents. It's just what happens. You sort of like, you're never happy with one. You always see another one and think, oh, I wouldn't mind that. 'Cause they're not that big to store, innit? You can have a few indoors. I've got loads all over the place, but you can have a few tents. They're not massive, are they? So you will end up with a few. And if you're one of them people starting a little bit of a tent collection, one of these Quasars is sort of a must-have in that collection because, like I said, there is something about it. You will really love using it. You will really love owning it. It's just an absolutely fantastic tent. The other one that I would say is a great tent to use and that with a bit of history and that behind it is the original Van Gogh Falls 10. That tent's a lovely tent to use. I've got the big one, the 4-man version, big green one. That's lovely, but that is really heavy. You wouldn't want to lug that too far, but when you set it all up, that's a lovely tent to go in. But this Quasar's not that heavy. You can lug this thing about. It's not really heavy. So you can take this out with you. I take that false 10 out with me. Me and my mate will still use that now because we did it years ago. Years ago, that was the best tent we had, the old false 10. So we would take that everywhere. If we knew the weather was going to be bad, we knew we had heavy backpacks and we was taking half the false 10 each. So we still do it now, just for that nostalgia bit. That old false 10 goes out. And when it's pitched and you're in it, that's a lovely place to be as well. Like this Quasar. Both of them are absolutely fantastic tents. That if you want a special tent and something like with all the history and all that, they are the two to go for. Well, out of the tents I've had, they are my sort of, not my favourite two, but they are a lovely two tents. They really are. I've got other tents, bit more favourite, like I love my Hurricane, but just because of the adventures I've had in that, I love my Banshee, because I've had some great times in that Banshee. I've got a Spectre that I love, that I've had some really good laughs in. So that's what kind of makes your tent special. But one of these Quasars, without even having an adventure in it, you'd buy one of these, put it up in your back garden, go and sit in it, and you would just love it, because you would think, I've got a Quasar, I'm sitting in a Quasar, this thing's fantastic. And not many tents can do that. Most tents, you need the adventures in them to make them special. But this Quasar is special from day one without having an adventure in it. I don't know why, but it just is. I've also got some really old tents that I had when I was a kid, and they wasn't new when I've got them. I've got some old tents. I'll dig them out another day and put them on the channel. Some of them I love because I had them. They've just got that nostalgia. I can remember all the times when I was a kid taking them places and that. So I love them ones because of the history I've got with them and how long I've had them. I have had this Quasar quite a long time, so me and this Quasar have got a bit of history together, I'll tell ya. When I first had it, take it out storms and all that, but I wouldn't do it to it now. Even though I know it can take it, I would take my Hurricane. I wouldn't do it to this Quasar, because this Quasar is old. I love it. I'd be so gutted if anything ever happened to this. So it doesn't get used like that, this Quasar. To me, this is like just a luxury tent now that I take out and use. So it does get used, but I wouldn't take it out in a big storm night, just in case anything happened to it. Because I've had it too long and I'm too attached to it. And like I said, I don't even know how old this thing is. It could be from the 80s. I think it's from the 90s, but it has got some age to it. So if you just look in there, zip the door, look in there, you are in a Quasar. That is lovely in here. Big, massive door. You can undo the bit of that door so it just leaves the mesh, like the fly mesh. I'll show you now. You unzip that bit, drop the door down so it vents, because there ain't a lot of other venting going on in this tent. Obviously, it's designed to go out in freezing conditions. And I wouldn't really recommend using this in the height of summer when it was red hot. But in sort of early summer and that, it's alright this tent, because you can open it up like that with the mesh. You can open the doors at both ends, and you can get this thing venting out. It does not get ridiculously hot in here, but I still wouldn't really want to do it when you're actually getting them baking hot British summer days. I don't think that'd be that good then. You'd just get too hot in it. So, yeah, it's not good for the height of summer, this tent. But when the days are a bit warm, like today, open both doors and you do get a nice breeze going through it. So it's alright, really, day like today. It's not very hot in here, really, and it is quite warm today. So as you can see, it's got massive pockets, this thing. It's got four of them. I've got no other tents that has got pockets as big as this. Look at the size of them. They are absolutely massive. And it's got that little loop there. It's got one the other side, so I think that's where you'd put a line across so you could hang your wet clothes up to dry and that. I've never used that, but I think that's what it's for. Hang your socks or your pants up, dry them out. It's lovely to be back in here. There's something really lovely about the inside of this tent. The vegetables alright. You can cook in here with a trangy and that on something low, little low pot. You can do it. And if you see, I'm laying down now. So I've got enough room here. Laying down, nice and comfortable. Look how much room beside me. There's loads of room in this. So I think this, because this is the Super Quasar, it's a bit bigger than the other ones. I'm not sure if it's any higher, but I do think it is a bit wider than the normal one. This one being the Super, it is a bit wider. And I also think they did one called an Ultra Quasar, and the Ultra one is a bit lighter, but I think it's not as heavy duty, so I wouldn't go for that one. I've heard people having that one and the poles have snapped and things like that. I've never had no trouble with this one. So I would say if you're getting a Quasar and you're going to use it with two of you and your missus or something, go camping, or you and your mate, try and get this Super one, because it is a bit bigger and it's really nice in there. It's a lovely tent, this one. It's a nice looking tent and all. Just look at it. It has got a good look to it, this tent. It's so distinctive. As soon as you see one, you just know it's a Quasar. And loads of tent companies have copied this over the years. There's loads of tents that look like this, but I'm pretty sure this was the original. And when I've had this like camping places and you put it beside someone else's tent made by someone else that is a bit of a rip-off of this, they all seem to be a bit higher, whereas this one is lower in the roof. So I think that's why this one can deal with the wind so much. Other people make it, but their one is not the same sort of shape. Although it looks like it, they seem higher and a bit more chunkier. Whereas this one, just look at them angles on it. It's all lovely and light shaped to just deal with the wind. And that's the bit that other people don't copy right down to the button. They change it a little bit, and then I just think it's not as good in the wind as this Quasar. This Quasar, the way it is designed, is just amazing in heavy winds. It really is. And if you can see, look, no tents are like that. I'm really pushing on that roof. You cannot push this thing down. This is strong as anything, this tent. It really is. The first time I pushed on that roof and these side bits, I was just amazed by how strong this thing is. Because it's only a few poles and some material. It is quite unbelievable how strong this Quasar actually is. And I did see one last year, brand new Quasar. So it was last year's model, and it was more or less exactly the same as this. So that's how you can tell a good tent, innit? It's been going like years and years and years without ever being changed. You know, there's not many tents that have done that. They all change over the years, but the modern day Quasar still looks exactly the same as this thing. So they've never really improved on it, I don't think. It might be better materials and better poles and that, but the actual shape is still very much the same. So yeah, one last little look inside. Look, lovely in there with them big massive pockets. You put all your gear in them, they are massive. And there's a ton of room in there for two people. So if you bought one of these for you and your partner to go camping, you would be very happy in it. So the Quasar definitely gets a thumbs up from me. And I would like to thank Terra for making my one, because I absolutely love it. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe so you can join me again. I'm off now to have a coffee and sit and chill out inside my legend. The legend that is the Terra Super Quasar.